Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 476, where he asks the Minds of Magnox the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Very well. How are you?
Pretty well.
Just pretty well?
Just pretty well. Today was a crazy busy day, so I'm pretty tired.
Well, I bet.
Yes, very, very busy. I cannot say why, but
yeah, you guys are vaccine central. I know why you're busy.
I can neither confirm nor deny these statements.
Yeah, I'm reading between the lines. Sean, how are you? Are you well?
I'm doing well. Yeah,
You're doing well. I'm very well. Keith's pretty well. You're doing well.
went and saw my friend Keith at work. Got some vaccine. It was fun. I'm kidding. I am. Nobody take that. Please do not go and knock on his door. I heard on the radio.
Did you guys do anything this week?
We watched the Christmas Chronicles Volume 2, or
so did we.
Chapter 2, or whatever. I liked it. I think it's just as good as the first one.
I agree.
No spoilers, because I haven't seen either one of them yet.
Kurt Russell's still the reason to tune into it.
Very much so. I saw a bit of an interview with. I didn't realize that Christopher Columbus directed, he produced the first one, and then came back and directed the second one. And he had made
I didn't know he did that either.
In this interview, that people kind of go, "Oh, were you doing you're doing that Netflix Christmas movie? Kurt Russell must have needed a paycheck or something." And he says, "Let me tell you," he says, "Kurt Russell treats this whole thing almost like a method actor." He says, "We showed up and he had written a 200-page backstory for Santa on his own, and just like here, and he's done all the research and the follow through as to why things would work in Santa's universe the way that they do." And he just went and did it on his own. And as I was sitting there watching it, I was like, this almost feels like Kurt should have gotten a screenplay credit, because it really felt like there was a lot of his story in there. Just little moments. It was like, yeah, that feels like that might have been part of it. But I got to say, I know everybody kind of has their, everybody's got their own Santa, their screen Santa. For me, it forever and always will be David Huddleston from Santa Claus the movie.
Here.
When I saw that one as a kid, I was just, that this wasn't a movie. They went and filmed this at the North Pole, and that's Santa. I mean, and I still feel that way. We watched that this weekend too, and every time he shows up for the first time you see him in the red coat, it's just like, oh my God, that's a Santa Claus.
Yeah, I agree.
But I gotta say, Kurt Russell's performance is so infectious and fun to watch.
You can tell he's having a blast.
He is rapidly climbing the ranks of my favorite screen Santas.
Yeah, I'd say he's pretty high up there.
We've got him on our list to watch. We just have not got around to it. We just haven't had any time together where we can all sit down and watch a movie.
I had to watch it in 3 settings.
What's that, Keith?
I had to watch it in 3 sittings, but
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to do that with my family. But
so you haven't seen any of them?
I haven't seen either one of them yet, no.
Oh.
Yeah. I had wanted to get around to the first one last year when it dropped, and I just never did. And this year I was like, okay, we're definitely going to watch those. And everybody's interested. They want to watch them. It's just a matter of getting everybody in the same room. Well, 3 of us want to watch them. I got one that doesn't like Christmas. She's who's
the Scrooge?
She's a bit bah humbug about Christmas. So
which
how
one?
to be a teenager.
We did go look at Christmas lights the other night, and if you guys haven't seen it, there's a really cool one on, the road that runs north and south on the west side of Gage Park. There's a cemetery on that road. You guys know what I'm talking about? If you go up closer to 6th Street, on that road, up closer to 6th Street, there is a house that has the music tuned to their lights, and it puts on a really good show. We went by there. I walk Gage Park, about a mile at Gage Park every day at lunch, and I've walked by there dozens of times and seen that they have lights, but I didn't know that it was synced. You could just see during the day, you could just see tons of stuff, So I knew they had quite a few lights. So that was the first place I said, well, I'll take you by this place. I'm curious. And we drove up there, and there was a line. And I was like, oh. And then I saw the sign that said tune radio to, and it had a frequency. And so we turned the radio there, and we could see it going with it. And it was pretty nice, because I think pretty much everybody would kind of stay through one song, and then they'd move on. So you moved up. Well, I think we didn't wait more than probably 10, 15 minutes to get up there in front of it to actually see one. But it's several different songs. They've got a whole playlist going on. It's good. It's really impressive. And then we've got this... Mason found this Christmas light-looking scavenger hunt, which has a list of different things to find, like a Santa on the roof, and I think there's probably 30 different items. We knocked out all but 5, and one of them was a Shrek. We have to find a Shrek decoration, which I think this list is a little old.
Yeah.
But we knocked all but 5. We went to Potwin and several other places that we know of. We haven't been out to the lake yet, but that was a lot of fun. And then I watched the Bee Gees, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? It's that Bee Gees documentary that just came out on HBO, and it is really good. Really, really good. I've always been sort of a peripheral fan of the Bee Gees. I love Saturday Night Fever. I like a lot of their older stuff. But I didn't really know that much about them, and it is really, really well done. It's really kind of heartfelt. There's no big revelations, but it really puts you in a position of, it's just really heartfelt the way they do it. And of course, Barry is the only one still around, so he's the only one that they interview real time, but they have interviews of Maurice and Robin from days past, so you do get to hear from their perspective. Well, they kind of did what they did with the Beatles with John Lennon stuff. They would pepper in his, previous interviews with it. So it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I recommend it, especially if you like the Bee Gees.
Groovy.
That's one thing that we were very interested in. So we'll have to give it a shot.
Anything else? If not, let's move on to news.
Well, there's a new digital trading card game coming soon called Worlds Apart. But you can already start buying your card packs now. They are available in a variety of sizes.
The cards packs are sizes, not the cards themselves are all the same size.
They're all digital, so you know.
That's true.
They're all in however you want to view them.
Yeah, that's true.
So there are 4 different packs, each containing between 5 and 10 limited edition cards, and fans can also collect 13 different cosmetic card frames. So the game is free to play, but you have to buy the cards in order to play it. And it just looks like it's a traditional trading card game,
but digital.
Just digitally with Doctor Who.
Tell us all about it, Glenn.
I think you said it, Keith, but just to reemphasize, the game is not out yet. It doesn't come out until 2021.
Right.
And it says it will be released for PC, although I managed to open cards on my Mac.
PC, Mac.
Yeah. If you go to Doctor Who...
And the mobile game is coming, it says on the website.
Yeah, so if you go to Doctor Who-worldsapart.com, like I did, and bought a pack for $5, you can open up your packs too. I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know. Sean and I, well, and Keith too, a little bit. You kind of came in on the tail end. We always talk about how we played the Star Wars TCG or trading card game years ago, which was a lot of fun. I don't know if I could get into something like that again. I mean, it was a blast, but I just don't know that I could do it. And I think I bought a pack more out of curiosity than anything. I don't think it's something that I would dive headfirst into.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if it were physical, I'd be a little bit more inclined to try to get some, but I don't know, digitally I start losing interest in it.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of split on that, because I like the idea of digital, especially with the mobile version, because if you can just play it on the road, or while you're just sitting somewhere, If you can do it that way, that appeals to me that you're not dragging around, these large physical decks and worrying about card protectors and things like that. But on the flip side of that, when you pay the kind of money that they're asking for these different packs, and I mean, ultimately you can get into some pretty expensive cards, I sort of on the other side where I kind of want a physical copy when I've purchased something like that. So I'm kind of in the middle.
If you buy 10 of the TARDIS pack, it is $1,963. That is an option on the website.
That is crazy. And
just one is.
There's people out there that will do it. There will be people out there that will do that.
Yes, because you get exclusive and special versions of the cards, or specifically the frames.
Yeah. Sean?
Yes?
What's your reaction? He's trying not to.
He's restraining himself so he doesn't buy some.
He's averting his eyes.
That's honestly, that's about it. I look back at the time spent playing the Star Wars TCG with great fondness, and I look back at the money spent playing the Star Wars TCG with great depression. And I don't think Doctor Who, especially with a digital card, I don't think there's a big enough draw there for me to go, yes, have some.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I played the actual game instead of just looking at Glenn opening some digital packs, I would feel differently.
Let's be clear. I only bought one pack.
Well, part of me is also like, well, there already is a Doctor Who card game. I know it's not a trading card game, but there is a Doctor Who card game that mechanics didn't quite work as well as I thought they should. So how do I know this is not going to be any different? The same. How do I know this one's going to be different?
That's a good point, and I don't know. I mean, there are obviously different companies that are doing this, and maybe this company that's doing Worlds Apart is more, experienced in it than the game makers did or were for the card game. Who knows? This one already looks more like a TCG, so I would think there's more thought put into it. I think the Doctor Who card game, while it had some of the mechanics of TCG, it still was, being this self-inclusive game and kind of had limitations. So I think that, it might be comparing apples to oranges.
So according to the website, the roadmap has first quarter 2021, the marketplace goes live.
Okay.
I guess that's the trading aspect of it. Quarter 2, game alpha launches, and then quarter 4, game public beta launches.
Huh.
So the full unglitchy version may be a ways away.
It could be. Well, we'll track its
But you could get in on the beta and alpha testing, which could be kind of fun too.
Yeah, we'll track its progress and see how it goes. All right, any other news? Should we move on to our reviews? Let's start with Daleks.
No, hold on. Let me back away from my headphones so that Glenn can give his.
I'm not going to go. I think I thoroughly enjoyed it I would say as much, if not a little more, than last week. But I don't want to go there again. I completely had a blast. I still was hanging on to that idea, especially after the mechanoids are pretty much fall into this trap that's been placed before them. I still am scratching my head with that whole run back to Skaro, we're coming. I mean, if they had just killed the Emperor Dalek and the strategist then, they wouldn't have had any way to come up with a plan to bring these Daleks out of reserves. Yeah,
even if they hadn't been the last of the Daleks, it would have cut the head off the snake.
Right, exactly. And that's the only thing that I kind of fought against with, that kind of weird that they ended it that way, but oh well. But I really, really, I thought it was really clever to have the strategist, and I sort of saw it coming when the scientists, they were getting ready to go into the realm, and the Emperor was pretending that, or he was at least giving us the impression that he thought that the strategist was betraying him. I sort of saw it coming. I thought, I wonder if this is going to be a switcheroo here.
There's no way that.
Yeah.
strategist would betray the Daleks.
But I do like the concept of he used what the mechanoids, I mean, it's very much in the line with the MO of the Daleks, that he used what the mechanoids, or what the scientists specifically had showed how to dispatch of the entity in order to use that against the mechanoids. I thought that was a neat little, jab.
And it was a nice way to bring the overall story back around and tie it all in together.
Absolutely. And it gave us a little bit of a sort of a cliffhanger, enough of a cliffhanger to kind of lead us into other Time Lord victorious vehicles without, being what happens next. It leaves it in a, this, it's not over for you kind of thing. They could also springboard there later for another, 5-episode web series down the line if they wanted to do. But also it connects loosely to the rest of the Time Lord Victorious stuff that involves the Daleks. So I think that it works really well.
Yeah.
So do we think this is all the mechanoids?
No.
Well, it wasn't all the Daleks. So. Although the mechanoid queen was taken off to that alternate universe too. So
it's true.
Cut off the head of the snake.
The Daleks did what the mechanoids should have.
Right, exactly. Maybe they'll learn next time. Oh, wait.
Oh. Well, speaking of the mechanoids, we did get some, one of our listeners reached out to us, Trevor, to let us know that they're going to be in the Volume 8 of Diary of River Song.
Yeah, I like how he said, look at the background of the cover of the forthcoming Diary of River Song Part 4. Is it the fourth one? Fourth set? Eighth set. Yeah, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So the mechanoids are remaking a return in audio. So.
Yeah. It looks like just one of the stories, not all.
I wonder if it'll
stories.
take place before this or if it'll be on the heels of this. Maybe we'll find out if there's more mechanoids out there.
It's called Queen of the Mechanoids.
Oh, this is probably prior then.
It's a river story. I think I know who the queen's question is.
It's a shame they didn't get what's-her-face, who did the queen in this, to be in it. That would have been a cool little connection.
Was it Anjali Mohindra?
Yeah, it was Ronnie. From
Sarah Jane Adventures, not from Dr.
Yeah. Yes.
Different Ronnie.
Right, different Ronnie.
Different Ronnie.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm elated by the idea that this web series was made and that it went over. I'm hoping it went over well. I'm hoping it's got a lot of views. I've seen a few other reviews online, and they've all been somewhat, or for the most part, positive. And I hope that if it does, in fact, get a lot of views and a lot of good reviews, maybe they'll consider proceeding with the series and maybe giving us a little more longer form stories as well.
And I think the animation, well, it kind of reverted back to the PlayStation 2 look to it. I kind of got used to it by the time I got to the 5th episode.
I'm telling you, anytime they show a planet that's not completely mechanics, it does suffer.
And come on, the sand planet, most games now can't even handle that.
Well, you don't have much choice when you put them on Scarro. You've got to make it look like Scarro.
I know, yeah. Well, Sean, you've been quiet. You have more about this?
I really enjoyed it. I just kind of sat and absorbed it and was very pleased with it. And once, like Glenn, I sat there going, should have killed him, should have killed him, should have killed him, pretty much all through the first half of the story. Until more Daleks rolled out the garage door, and then it's like, aha! And even then, I was like, I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I did bite. I thought maybe the strategist had a better strategy, as it were. That the survival of the Daleks maybe meant sacrificing the Emperor, and that part of this was a plan for that. But then when he pulled the switcheroo and sucked the mechanoids off into, I don't know, in space or whatever it was still satisfying. And it was like, oh, well, of course the strategist is smarter than everybody in the room. The entire thing was done just to rid themselves of a threat, even if it meant opening the door to a bigger threat.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised the entity didn't swoop in on Scarro faster.
Yeah. That's true.
Maybe just didn't have the capabilities or couldn't manifest far enough. Who knows?
Very possible.
It did go against what you had suspected last week, Sean, about how the mechanoids kind of had a bead on. They knew that Skaro had been destroyed before, but now it sort of makes me wonder if that was part of the setup as well. They wanted we saw the attack on Skaro early on in the series, but it kind of makes you wonder if they wanted the mechanoids to be aware that Skaro had fallen to the entity. So, because when they get back, it's not decimated. There's obviously been some damage in a war there, but it's not decimated. It's quiet.
Yeah, buildings and everything are still intact.
It's quiet, but it's not decimated.
For the number of times Skaro has been wiped out, this was probably the best it's looked.
Right.
I did not see a single rock quarry on this visit to Skaro.
Yeah.
So, Mechanoid's got a much better tour package than the Movellans did.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But no, I was quite happy with it. It ended, and I was like, that was a little bit all right, And like you, I kind of hope that this means maybe some ongoing things. I won't even say bigger and better. I'll just say more of it.
Yeah, well stated. I agree. And it doesn't even have, it'd be nice if it's even bigger and better, but more of the same would be fine too.
Oh, sure. If you wanted to, throw some Disney money at it and do a Clone Wars style Dalek campaigns, and it's just them every week in the trenches blowing stuff up, I'd watch.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the Minds of Magnox.
The Doctor travels with Brian, the Ood assassin, to the planet Magnox, one of the greatest receptacles of knowledge the universe will ever know. The Doctor's in search of a vital piece of information, but it's Grade 1 classified. In order to gain an audience with the Minds of Magnox themselves, he must take a dangerous test. Is he smart enough to get through? Meanwhile, Brian gets involved with a criminal fraternity and is given a job to assassinate the Minds of Magnox. However, others also have the planet within their sights.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one as well. Sean, you want to start off?
Yeah, I'll start off with this one. This was a surprising amount of fun to listen to. And I say surprising because I don't know about anybody else. I specifically tend to get set in my ways, and I expect a certain level of...
You.
Yeah, I do. I'm a bit of a crudgmudgeon. And I expect a certain amount of big finish in my audio presentations. And knowing that this was not that, I kind of had steeled myself for the inevitable disappointment that was going to come forward. And instead, I found the overall production was just exceptionally done. The guy that got to read this story was just great.
Yeah, Jacob Dudman.
And when David Tennant showed up as the 10th Doctor, I went, wow, they really went and got that. No, they couldn't have, because I would have that would have been a thing. And so then I went and looked it up, and no, it's just the guy. He does a very, very good 10th Doctor. So I was just pleased as punch as that. The story itself, I really enjoyed as well. I kind of wish we'd have listened to this a little bit earlier in the run.
We didn't have a choice. It just
I know
last week
with the ending, the way that it ends, and the reveal of the connection to the Daleks show.
Yeah.
See,
that would have been nice. But
I think that's what I like better about doing it this way, is because I think that's kind of an aha moment. I've liked how they've done this, because it really makes it more of a stretch your brain sort of exercise with this. Not doing a particular reading order or releasing it in a quote unquote reading order. I think it's neat because you start to do that. Oh, okay, now I see where this connects. And this is, I think, the first one that really locks in the, okay, now I see where things are connecting. And so I really liked that. That's what I'm kind of glad that we got it afterwards, because now I can look back and go, okay, well, now we know the origins of the archive on Elos, and that's because of the, what was her name? Pichelle. She ends up becoming the Oracle of Elos. she gets the data stick from the 11th Doctor, which I personally think that Dudman did a fantastic job as the 10th Doctor, but he more than nailed the 11th Doctor. Smack on. I think he is so much a better 11th Doctor.
Yeah, I agree. He, for as good as his 10th Doctor was, his 11 was even better.
Yeah. So, but getting that data,
which he's done 11 a lot more, I think.
Yeah. Well, no, he's. I think his bio. He did do the 11th Doctor for the Doctors Assembled during the Doctor Who lockdown stuff, but he's done the 10th Doctor Chronicles and the 11th Doctor Chronicles. So he's done equally as many, and he's also done the 12th Doctor Chronicles as well. So
well, now I shall require a sample of his Scottish brogue. No, I think you're right. Now that I hear you say it out loud, I think maybe the surprise gotcha moment of aha is cooler having it come after versus if it had been a setup for before.
Yeah,
because then I would have been watching Daleks going, well, wait, where's this? How did this turn into this? Why is there nothing but robot?
Right.
I think it suddenly would have just created more questions for me as opposed to, as I said, kind of being a gotcha moment.
Mm.
Well, and it's such a small little nugget of a thing where it's just, okay, there's the seed that got planted.
Yeah.
And you see where it gets picked up later. It's not, it's not such a thing that requires large depth and exploration.
Right. Yeah.
Very true.
No, absolutely.
Considering Magnox is still during the Dark Times. I mean, it's not like we're outside the Dark Times now, so it completely makes sense that over the course of centuries and eons that it evolves into robots instead of people. And we never saw the Islos' masters. These were just the Archivians at the
That's
archive.
true as well.
Right.
So, I mean, there's so many different directions you can go with just the idea that this was the nugget of Islos. I think it works really well.
Yeah.
I also really appreciated the idea that the Doctor, for as full-blown Time Lord victorious as he is at this point, that he's still struggling with it, that he's still fighting that and kind of reverting to type in a way, that he is going out of his way to find a moral justification for what he's done, whether that's right or wrong, that he's still searching for that, yes, you did okay. And it bothered me that that moment was so completely and trustingly given over to Brian the Ood. Because we just got done saying, assassin, I came here to kill everybody. I was bored, fulfilling my programming. No, you can't do that. Oh, okay, you're right. Hey, I could do this instead. Oh, what a brilliant! I'm going, come on, dude, really? It's how transparent can you get? That's like a Dalek rolling into the room and going, would you like some tea? I'm totally not going to kill you in a minute. And the Doctor still being blinded enough by his need to know that what he did was okay, sentencing the Keturah to death, even though he obviously knows it's not okay. I mean, he wouldn't be there looking for an answer.
To ask the question, he knows the answer already.
Exactly. But that's the Time Lord Victorious kind of overriding that.
Right.
And
right.
so
that's where his mind is right now, and I think that's what I like as well.
It was a very cool... I enjoyed the fact that we are still dealing with kind of the moral and ethical implications within the Doctor's setup, even if it's just kind of a small thing like that. But it felt very weighty to me that it was in the way that it was handled. So
I think the ideas behind the planet and the species are pretty cool too, and they were described really well, so you could picture what they look like.
Oh yeah, a planet with nothing but information for currency. What a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that more people learned, the more protuberances come on their heads, and it kind of has a class system to it based off of how smart you are. That's all really cool stuff.
That their heads grow in such a way too when they gain the knowledge. I thought that was kind of a neat
Yeah, once they start describing the actual minds of Magnox is pretty impressive.
Yeah, the visualization that you get in your head, and it's I think it's painted really well.
Yeah.
I think the author Darren Jones does a really good job of conveying the visuals in this book that you're forced to imagine. I think he does a really good job.
I also feel like and maybe you guys tuned into this as well, despite the fact that this is a 10th Doctor story and that it's, very obviously New Who in terms of its setting within the Time Lord Victorious. The conventions of Magnox and the description of the minds and going to the council and just how everything was set up in regards to them. This to me really felt like a classic Who story.
Yeah, I can see that.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Like almost a, maybe even a second Doctor adventure or something where it was just that kind of feel to it.
Well, it just definitely had a Crotons aspect to
maybe
it.
That's what
considering he had to do
Crotons.
Do the tests, and see if he would pass and that sort of thing. Good thing
he didn't have
Zoe
Zoe
wasn't
there. He didn't have Zoe there to try it first.
Maybe it just reminded me of Crotons. Maybe that's where I'm coming off of that one. But
yeah, I can see that. I hadn't thought of it when I was reading it, but I can totally see that. I like the and I didn't catch this because I know the Brian the Ood T-shirt is out there, and we haven't reviewed it because, well, it's a T-shirt, but it does have a bit of a story on it. And in fact, I can't remember what it says in the when it's not in the light, but it glows in the dark. And when it glows in the dark, there's some text behind Brian. And one of the mentions that it makes is that he came from the lesser order of Oberon, which I had heard in passing when I was looking at some Time Lord Victorious stuff. I think somebody was talking about the T-shirt. And but this goes into a lot of detail about his backstory, and so we get we get that info dump on Brian in this, how he was, he was taken by the Lesser Order, and he was, to be a slave. They cut his hindbrain out from him very painfully, which you can kind of understand why he maybe was driven to the insanity that he sort of has now, and just the fact that he took out the rest of the Lesser Order after this was done, and took up as an assassin. I think it was really a fascinating backstory to hear more. And did you guys realize that the Lesser Order of Oberon is connected to the Greater Order of Oberon, of which
before you continue,
okay,
yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Or
who's the Greater Order of Oberon?
Well, Orsini from Revelation of the Daleks, the Sixth Doctor one. That's Revelation, right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Revelation. So Orsini was the guy. He and Bostock were infiltrating the Daleks in order to get to Davros and assassinate him. They were members of the actually he was exiled from Grand Order of the Oberon. He was excommunicated from the Grand Order. So there's a nice little throwback or connection to some classic series stuff as well. I guess Bostock was his squire.
We were talking the Sixth Doctor funeral planet.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
And you remember the two guys that were the Doctor was originally there, thought he was trying to stop them, and ends up finding out that he's there, Orsini is there for sure to take out Davros. So, and he ends up doing it. Well, it does and doesn't, but anyway, I thought that was a neat connection to some classic Doctor Who as well.
That is cool.
What else? Keith, I think you've said the less on this. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I really agree with what you guys said. I thought Jacob Dudman did a fantastic job reading the story. I went into it a little bit hesitant, can he really do the 10th Doctor? And I thought he did a great job, and I even thought that his Brian sounded like an Ood.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You could easily not, and I appreciated that. I thought the story was really well done, a lot of fun to listen to, a good romp, as it were. in the Time Lord Victorious range. No complaints. I liked it a lot.
I'll tell you, written in a narrative form, I think even if his doctor's voice, even if either of his doctor voices or the Ood voice had not been as good as they were, it still would have been okay because of the way they chose to tell the story by having the narrator.
Yeah.
But it's all the more better for the fact that they got this guy that can actually perform those two doctors significantly well. So that gets high marks
true.
for that as well. All right. Well,
and now I want to listen to more of these type of stories that he has done.
I would agree. In fact, I wonder if that will change your guys' mind about, because you guys are pretty hesitant of these chronicles, knowing that there's not the actual actors portraying the doctors in them. So I wonder if you guys maybe are a little more willing and open to them. I mean, obviously,
I'm already starting to look
them.
at the 11th Doctor one.
Are you? Okay. Well, very good.
Which features a Christmas story in it.
It does. Why didn't we do that?
And Kazran.
It does? That's cool. All right.
Quick change to the schedule.
Yeah, right. We're not. Well, unfortunately we can't do that one in conjunction with the Last Christmas, which we're doing. Well, speaking of which,
Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Christmas Carol. Did I say Last Christmas?
You did.
We have a week.
That's because I have in my brain that stupid Whamageddon thing. You saw I went out today, or not today, yesterday or Saturday, Sean.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh.
Here's the crazy thing about it is for anybody who doesn't know, we're playing Whamageddon, and that's where you try to go the entire Christmas season without hearing Last Christmas. And you don't go out of your way necessarily to avoid it, but
I do.
But to play the game, you are. That's the idea, is to see if you can get all the way to or past Christmas without hearing it. And we've played. I think Sean's brought it up both last year and this year for sure. And we've played, and I think last year I made it all the way, and this year I
got tagged. The 12th. Last year I got tagged, so I would have already been out had this been last year.
I think I went out on the 12th this year. I think that was Saturday, right? So I went out on the 12th this year.
Yes, it was. Well, beware the 12th if you're playing.
Anyway, so that's been in my head. Oh, the funny thing is, I like I say, I don't want to. I wasn't actively trying to avoid it. I was just seeing how long I could go, and I have a playlist on my phone of Christmas songs that I play, and I've been hitting shuffle. Just so that because I know where it is on there, and I don't want to hit it purposefully, and so I've been hitting shuffle, and we literally were getting in the car to go watch or look at the Christmas lights, and it was the first song that came up. I went, oh come on, Holly said you're out, aren't you? Anyway, that segue. Yeah, we could pair up.
Playing Russian roulette there.
We could pair up that 11th Doctor Chronicle with the story we're doing last week and have the sequel along with it. We'll have to discuss that behind the scenes. Sean, what do we actually have coming up on the schedule?
Well, I thought I knew. The plan, as it stood, would have been to do a fun little Christmas adventure and go back and revisit A Christmas Carol, since we're coming up on our 10 years of delivering the goods, as it were. And that was the first episode that we made Keith watch, and the subject of our first episode. So we thought it'd be fun to go back and revisit that for a Christmas special for this year. We may wind up pairing it up with this other audio. We will let you know. And then a return to Time Lord Victorious the following week with this is the part that I may or may not get right. The Eagle Moss collection short story, The Last Message, which comes with the Dalek Emperor and Dalek Drone action figures. Well, they're not action figures, they're collectible figures. And then, are we doing the other one as well?
We are doing the other one as well. I was trying to get it in there before.
Well, I had changed it, and then I second-guessed myself.
Yeah, no, you probably had it right. I just...
We have a living document that we're currently shuffling things around on, and I goofed it up.
You're good. You're good.
The other Eagle Moss story is another short Mission to the Known, which comes packaged with the Dalek Commander and Dalek Scientist figures, along with the Big Finish audio adventure, Mutually Assured Destruction. So that is on the docket for after our Christmas special. And I'm not going to go any further because it'll change. Well, I suppose I can go 1 week further, which is the Revolution of the Daleks, because the show comes back.
That one's pretty much locked in. I don't think that one's going to change at all.
I don't think that one's changing any. So, yay! Doctor Who's back on TV.
Well,
and
we are somewhat tracking this online as our living document has become alive and self-aware on our website. So be sure to go there and check it out. If any changes happen, I'm sure that document will update itself as well. Be sure to check out our website. It is travelingthevortex.com. If you get any value out of this podcast, why not consider putting some value back into it? You can do that by clicking on our Patreon link that you can find on travelingthevortex.com. Also, please consider giving us a 5-star review wherever you subscribe to this podcast. And make sure you join in the conversation in our listeners forum on Facebook. And we had a request from Jamie, who's kind of our facilitator on that site, recommending that people go back. If you're new to the listeners forum and you haven't been there before, scroll back through the conversations because you can continue to add to those and let your voice be heard and let us know some of your opinions on those. And I believe that is it. Is there anything else we need to share, guys? If not,
I don't think so.
Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
No, I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.